It is completely astonishing that the ancient Greeks firstly had the conception of making this technology, and second, the ability to actually physically make it.
This is the story of a corroded lump of bronze pulled from the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea, and the best-selling author who believes it points to a forgotten chapter of human history. On October 17, 2024, Graham Hancock sat down on the Joe Rogan Experience for episode 2215, and what he claimed about the Antikythera Mechanism reignited one of the heated debates in archaeology. Today, we're walking through what Hancock argued, what the device actually is, and what more than a century of research has uncovered about the most enigmatic machine ever recovered from the ancient world. The story of how this object came to light is almost as remarkable as the object itself. October of 1900 found a crew of Greek sponge divers from the island of Symi returning home from North Africa when a storm forced them to take shelter near the small island of Antikythera, located between Crete and the Peloponnese. Captain of the boat was a man named Dimitrios Kontos, and while they waited out the weather, one of his divers, Elias Stadiadis, descended roughly 45 meters, about 148 feet, to the seafloor. What he saw down there was so unsettling he surfaced reporting bodies and bronze figures. Stadiadis had stumbled onto the wreck of a Roman-era ship that had gone down sometime between 70 and 60 BC. Working with the Greek government and the Hellenic Navy over the following months, the divers raised an extraordinary cargo of marble and bronze statues, amphorae, glassware, coins, and human remains. The salvage came at a heavy cost, with one diver dying from decompression sickness and two more permanently disabled. Among the artifacts hauled up from the seabed was a corroded lump of bronze that resembled nothing at all, and that lump sat in storage at the National Archaeological Museum in Athens for nearly 2 years before anyone realized what they were looking at. May 17, 1902 was the day the Greek archaeologist Valerios Stais, a curator at the museum, noticed the lump had something embedded inside it. A precisely cut, toothed gear wheel sat inside an object that by every assumption of the time should not have contained any such thing. And that single moment of recognition kicked off a mystery that has occupied scientists, historians, and engineers for over 120 years. Before we get to Hancock's claims, you need to understand what the Antikythera Mechanism actually is. The device is often called the world's first analog computer. Originally housed in a wooden case roughly the size of a thick book, it measured about 34 centimeters by 18 centimeters by 9 centimeters. And inside that case sat an intricate arrangement of bronze gear wheels. What survives today is held in 82 fragments at the National Archaeological Museum in Athens. Researchers have confirmed 30 surviving bronze gears, and the largest single piece, known as Fragment A, contains 27 of those gears all on its own. The biggest gear measures roughly 13 to 14 centimeters in diameter and originally carried 223 teeth, which is not an arbitrary number. It corresponds to the lunar months in the Saros cycle, the ancient astronomical period used to predict eclipses, and predicting eclipses is exactly what this machine does. Turning a hand crank on the side drove the gears, which in turn drove a series of dials on the front and back faces. Eclipses, both solar and lunar, were predicted through the Saros cycle and the related 54-year exoligmos cycle, while the dials also tracked the 19-year Metonic cycle and the 76-year Callipic cycle, displayed the position of the sun and moon, including the lunar phase, and on a smaller subsidiary dial tracked the 4-year cycle of the Pan-Hellenic Games. A team at University College London, led by Tony Freeth, published a paper in Scientific Reports in 2021, presenting a complete reconstruction of the front face. According to that work, the front displayed an ancient Greek model of the cosmos, including the sun, the moon, and all 5 planets known in antiquity, which were Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Mainstream scholarly consensus dates the manufacture to the 2nd or 1st century BC, with Encyclopaedia Britannica giving a range of around 100 BC, give or take 30 years. This is a Hellenistic Greek artifact, and it is approximately 2,000 years old. Which brings us to Graham Hancock and what he claimed on October 17, 2024. Hancock is a British author born in 1950, a former East Africa correspondent for The Economist, and the author of best-selling books that include Fingerprints of the Gods, Magicians of the Gods, and America Before. He also presents the Netflix docuseries Ancient Apocalypse, whose second season premiered the day before his appearance on Rogan, and his central thesis, developed across decades, holds that an advanced civilization existed during the last ice age, and that survivors transmitted their knowledge to the cultures that came after. When the conversation on episode 2215 turned to the Antikythera Mechanism, Hancock put it this way: "Now when they found that ancient Greek computer thing, what is that called? The Antikythera Mechanism. That testifies to a lost navigational skill that we have not taken account of before." Then came his most provocative claim: "Such a thing is a cultural artifact which doesn't just appear out of nowhere. My suggestion would be perhaps a secret technology. It's very odd that very few of these have been found, and it may be that ship owners and navigators in Greek times were extremely careful about who they shared this technology with." 3 specific claims sit inside what Hancock told Rogan. The first is that the Antikythera Mechanism is evidence of a lost navigational skill. The second is that it represents secret technology that was deliberately hidden. And the third is that there must have been a deeper backstory mainstream history has missed. Let's take those one at a time. The first claim is that the device testifies to a lost navigational skill, and the problem with that claim is straightforward. Not a single inscription on the Antikythera Mechanism mentions navigation. No dial, no gear, no feature on the device performs any navigational function, and the device cannot determine position at sea, cannot measure time at sea, and cannot plot a course. Every function researchers have decoded over the past 70 years, from Derek DeSolla Price at Yale in the 1950s through the 2021 University College London reconstruction, points to one purpose, which is astronomy and calendar keeping. Tony Freeth, lead author of the 2021 study, summarized it this way: "Solving this complex 3D puzzle reveals a creation of genius, combining cycles from Babylonian astronomy, mathematics from Plato's Academy, and ancient Greek astronomical theories. This is an astronomical demonstration model, a planetarium in a box." His second claim is that this was secret technology, and here the historical record contradicts Hancock directly. Cicero, the Roman statesman writing in the 1st century BC, described geared astronomical devices in 3 separate works. He tells us that Archimedes, who lived in the 3rd century BC, built 2 such spheres in Syracuse, and when the Roman general Marcellus captured Syracuse in 212 BC, he carried one of those devices back to Rome as a prized possession. Cicero also tells us that his contemporary, the philosopher Posidonius of Rhodes, built a similar device in his own time, and these objects were not secret. They were celebrated, shown off, and discussed openly among educated Romans. The reason we have only found one comes down to a straightforward answer that historians of technology give. Bronze, in the ancient world, was almost universally recycled, which meant that when an object broke or fell out of fashion, it was melted down and reused. The only bronze artifacts that survive from antiquity are the ones that ended up where they couldn't be recovered, buried in tombs, sealed in volcanic ash, or, in this case, lost on the seafloor. The Antikythera Mechanism survived because the ship sank on a steep underwater slope at over 45 meters depth, where it sat largely sheltered for nearly 2,000 years. The device was never secret, just rare in the way that almost all ancient bronze is rare. His third claim connects the mechanism to Hancock's larger thesis, the idea that a forgotten civilization stands behind this technology. On this point, Hancock is partially correct in a very specific way. There is a deeper context behind the Antikythera Mechanism, but that context is well-documented Hellenistic Greek science, not a lost Ice Age civilization. The eclipse cycles encoded in the device, the Saros and the Exeligmos, were inherited from Babylonian astronomers who had been recording eclipses for centuries. Geometric mathematics required to design the gear ratios came from the tradition of Plato's Academy and from mathematicians like Eudoxus, while the pin and slot gear that mechanizes the irregular motion of the moon corresponds directly to the lunar theory developed by Hipparchus of Nicaea, who lived from approximately 190 to 120 BC. The tradition of building geared astronomical models traces back to Archimedes himself, who, according to Pappus of Alexandria, wrote a now-lost treatise called On Sphere Making. When the team that decoded the Olympiad dial in 2008 examined the month names inscribed on the calendar, they identified them as Corinthian, not Athenian. That points to a place of origin in Corinth itself, or one of its colonies, with the leading candidate being Syracuse, Archimedes' home city. Responding to the Society for American Archaeology's open letter about the Ancient Apocalypse series in November of 2022, the SAA stated, "After more than a century of professional archaeological investigations, we find no archaeological evidence to support the existence of an advanced global Ice Age civilization of the kind Hancock suggests." In fairness to Hancock, his published response argues that he never claims to have proved the existence of a lost civilization, only to have raised the possibility, and he has accused mainstream archaeology of dismissing his ideas without genuine engagement. The field of Antikythera research itself continues to produce surprises. June of 2024 saw two gravitational-wave physicists at the University of Glasgow, Graham Hancock and Joseph Bailey, apply statistical techniques developed for the LIGO observatory to the calendar ring of the mechanism, and they concluded that the ring most likely had 354 holes corresponding to a lunar year, rather than 365 for an Egyptian solar year. Underwater excavations at the wreck site continued through 2025, the final season of a 5-year program led by the Swiss School of Archaeology in Greece under Professor Lorenz Baumer of the University of Geneva. That team confirmed a second wooden vessel approximately 200 meters from the main wreck site in 2024, and during the 2025 season, they recovered articulated hull fragments preliminarily dated to around 235 BC. The Antikythera shipwreck is still giving up its secrets, 125 years after Captain Kontos and his divers first stumbled across it, all of which raises the question of where that leaves us. Graham Hancock is correct that the Antikythera Mechanism ranks among the most extraordinary artifacts ever recovered from the ancient world, and he's correct that it must have a backstory, that it didn't simply appear out of nowhere. The backstory isn't hidden, though. Centuries of Babylonian eclipse records, Greek geometry, Hipparchian astronomy, and the Archimedean tradition of mechanical sphere-making all describe it openly. Cicero wrote about it. The Corinthian month names on the calendar dial encode it, and the imaging work of researchers from Yale in the 1950s, to University College London in 2021, to the University of Glasgow in 2024, has confirmed it. The actual truth about the Antikythera mechanism is in some ways more remarkable than Hancock's suggestion of a lost navigational secret. 2,000 years ago, somewhere in the Greek-speaking world, possibly in Syracuse, possibly in Rhodes, possibly in Corinth itself, a craftsman combined the astronomical knowledge of Babylon, the mathematics of Plato's Academy, and the mechanical genius of Archimedes into a hand-cranked bronze machine that could predict eclipses, track planets, and tell you when the next Olympic Games would be held. That craftsman was not the survivor of a lost civilization. He was the inheritor of a documented one, and the device he built sat at the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea for 2,000 years, waiting for sponge divers, archaeologists, and gravitational-wave physicists to figure out what it really was. That, in the end, is the shocking proof, not of something lost, but of something that was right in front of us the entire time.